I also have a Neil Diamond t-shirt. Jesus Christ, Fanny Bryce, Wolfie Mozart, and Humphrey Bogart, Genghis Khan, and on to H.G. Wells. Ho Chi Minh, Gunga Din, Henry Luce, John Wilkes Booth, and the Alexanders, King and Graham Bell. Ramar Krishna, Mama Whistler. And here's a confession. I'd never heard this song or this album until Shelley sent me an email asking if I'd do this show. I knew Neil Diamond, obviously. Everybody knows Neil Diamond. I knew the hits. I understood him as something of this kind of perfect pop creation, kind of created via Manhattan Project in the basement of the Brill Building, kind of imbued with an everyman's charm, a diva's sense of grandiosity, and this pelt of perfect chest hair that would protect him as he moved through the world, and especially the 70s. My personal favorite Neil Diamond record is actually from 2009, and it's a Christmas album called A Cherry Cherry Christmas. And it sounds like Neil Diamond covering South Park covering Neil Diamond. And then he does Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song. I have a DVD of it at home, and you play it. It plays the album over a Yule log. It's fantastic. But I hadn't heard this record. I hadn't heard of this record. So the first thing I did is I said yes, and then I Googled it, and I saw the album cover. The album cover is going to come up a bunch tonight. Lester Bangs, the famous music critic in Rolling Stone, when he reviewed the record, referred to Neil Diamond as appearing to wang his clanger on the album cover. And I shared the album cover on Twitter today, and Ezra Kraft, who's one of the owners of the Old Gold and a couple of other bars around town, messaged me back. He said, "My dad took that photo." And I said, "Was he scared?" So I looked at the album cover, was mesmerized by the album cover, really, downloaded the record, and I went for a walk. And every single step of that walk was a revelation. Hot Summer Night sounds like chest hair, moosed, bedazzled, and ready for a night on the town. It sounds like fondue with the neighbors, but not just any neighbors. The neighbors with the his and hers Trans Ams, the ones who throw the swingers parties twice a month, and they think the neighborhood doesn't know that they're throwing swingers parties, but the neighborhood knows. And the husband, he just got a bonus check from the shag carpet warehouse where he works, and he decided to spend it on a symphony orchestra, a bearskin rug, and an acoustic guitar. That's what the album sounds like, and that's just the first two songs. And then we get to Too Soon to Die, or Done Too Soon, which is delivered with the weight of Hamlet graveside eulogizing poor Yorick, that fellow of infinite jest and most excellent fancy who he knew so well. Writing about Hot August Night for its 40th anniversary in 2012, the critic Stephen Hayden called Gone Too Soon a proto We Didn't Start the Fire. And you can see that, it's like, Jesus Christ, Fanny Bryce, Wolfie Mozart and Humphrey Bogart, Genghis Khan, and on to H.G. Wells. We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning. I actually think of it more as a proto Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Neil Diamond traveling through time and just collecting these random people for a term paper at San Dimas High School. It's, this completely incongruous group. Gunga Din, fictional. Genghis Khan, founder of the Mongol Empire. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated Abraham Lincoln. And Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone, the very tool that on August 24th, 1972, a whole bunch of people left the Greek theater, went home, picked up, and called their friends and said, "You won't believe this shit that I just saw." It's a bold song. How bold? He leads with Jesus. The Bible doesn't even lead with Jesus. Waits until the sequel, basically. So Neil collects this huge cast of disparate characters And then he slows it all down. He tosses the jester's skull back to the gravedigger, and he makes his point that we aren't all so different after all. Any of us. Old E.A. Poe, his own bad self, and Buster Keaton, and the rest. Each of them has one thing shared. They have sweated beneath the same sun, looked up in wonder at the same moon, and wept when it was all done. For being done too soon. Now you can quibble with this a bit. Genghis Khan was in his mid-60s when he died, and for the founder of the Mongol Empire had to be like 250 years old, or making it through 7 seasons of Game of Thrones. That had to have been impossibly old at that point. And Jesus, yes, was 33 when he died, but how do you calculate the resurrection? Still, Neil, he knew. He knew the importance of perspective. Then and now, the sun we sweat under today is the same as both Karl and Chico Marx. The same moon that watched Wolfie Mozart compose his hits watched Neil Diamond play the Greek. And on days when it feels like this whole thing is falling apart, so basically like every day lately, humanity's longevity, even when it hasn't acted all that humane, is comforting. So tonight, when we all leave, let's stare at the moon, think of American baritone songwriter, violinist, and actor Russ Columbo, and Patrice Lumbamba, the first democratically elected prime minister of the Congo. Then take 10 to 15 completely random people that you can think of, attempt to make them rhyme, and we'll thank Neil for helping us get through another day. So, thank you, Neil.